This is the newsroom for today, Thursday, March 4, 2021. We're broadcasting to you on E1, Scar TV, NTN, and Tarsi TV in Bartica. In the headlines, Guyana's 2021 national budget is passed amidst the opposition's disruptive behavior in the National Assembly. International partners outraged at fighter jets as Guyana forced to issue second protest note to Venezuela. A doctor and 2 nurses of the New Amsterdam hospital have been suspended after they were found negligent in the death of a young mother and her newborn. Guyana's COVID-19 death toll is now 200. And in sport, Kieran Pollard's perfection gives West Indies T20 series lead and stage set for President's T20 softball tournament bowl-off on Friday. With the news, I'm Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for joining us. We started by telling you that the consideration of the 2021 budget estimates and its passage, which should have taken at least 3 days to complete, was done within hours on Thursday amid persistent disruptions to the House Committee of Supply by members of Parliament of the APNU-AFC coalition. The over $350 billion budget was passed with the allocations for several government agencies and ministries without any scrutiny or critical examination from the main opposition party, who instead had their members bang their desks to drown out the Speaker of the National Assembly and government ministers. Kurt Campbell reports.
The consideration of the 2021 budget estimates were set to continue well into next week, after which the budget would have been passed. But in a surprising turn of events, the activity was completed on Thursday, void of any scrutiny from the main opposition, the APNU-AFC coalition. The appropriation bill was passed to the tune of $353.8 billion in the absence of the APNU-AFC. Senior Minister with responsibility for finance, Dr. Ashni Singh, said that it was disappointing that the parliamentary opposition, with the exception of Deputy Speaker Lennox Schumann, chose to absent themselves from what he said was the critical stage of the conclusion of the consideration of Budget 2021.
It's very unfortunate that the opposition chose to withdraw themselves from the latter part of the consideration of the estimates, thereby denying the Guyanese people an opportunity to learn more at a detailed level of what is in the budget. And this is really very unfortunate.
In addition to Dr. Singh, several other government ministers condemned in the strongest possible terms the sustained disruptions to the ongoing consideration of the 2021 budget estimates in the House Committee of Supply by APNU-AFC coalition members. Coalition MPs intentionally disrupted the sitting of the National Assembly several times during the last 2 days by shouting down other speakers while banging their desks in defiance of rulings by Speaker of the National Assembly Mansour Nadir. The disruptions, which started on Wednesday, continued on Thursday, with Minister of Public Works Int'l concluding that the opposition seemed bent on ensuring that there was no normalcy in the House, something he said could trigger destabilizing action in the streets.
So this is their game plan. Behave so badly that the Speaker cannot speak or he cannot control the House. The Honorable Speaker did again what is decent, right, and honorable. He rose, sought to get the respect of every member of the House. The honorable members of the other side continue with their violent, disruptive behavior, and he simply brought the suspension.
On Thursday morning, 18 parliamentarians from the opposition APNU-AFC forced the suspension of the National Assembly, demanding the removal of Minister Kwame McCoy over claims, without providing proof, that he hit parliamentarian Tabitha Sarbu-Haley with his phone during a verbal confrontation on Wednesday afternoon. The opposition's protest then forced the suspension of the sitting. Minister McCoy has denied the allegation and the police were called in. The Speaker also called a meeting with the Leader of the Opposition, the Prime Minister and members of the Opposition and government side of the House and promised an expeditious investigation. Because of continued disruptions by the opposition, Mr. Nadir was eventually forced to suspend the sitting around 11 a.m. However, when the sitting resumed just after lunch around 13 hours, the disruptions continued. This, along with video recording by some opposition members, led to the suspension of several members of the House by the Speaker. Those members include Opposition Chief Whip Christopher Jones and MPs Sherrod Duncan and Amansa Walton Desir.
The Guyana government said on Thursday that it intends to pursue all avenues which are consistent with good governance practice as it seeks an amicable resolution and response to aggression from Venezuela in the wake of its continued false claims to Guyana's Essequibo region and the accompanying maritime space. This comes even as the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, PUT, issued a second protest note in the last 2 months to the Venezuelan ambassador to Guyana. Kurt Campbell joins us now.
Guyana's Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation on Wednesday confirmed that at approximately 1320 hours, 2 Venezuelan Army fighter jets overflew the community of Etringbang and the airstrip at a low altitude of 1,500 feet. In condemning the latest act of aggression by the Venezuelan armed forces, the government said the fighter jets circled the location once before proceeding in an easterly direction. Seeing it as a violation of the sovereignty of Guyana over the air above its territory, the government late Wednesday summoned the Venezuelan ambassador to Guyana to hand over a protest note and register its condemnation. On Thursday, President Irfan Ali joined in condemning Venezuela's aggression. The president said Guyana has reached out to its bilateral and regional partners to ensure the international community is continuously engaged. Dr. Ali told members of the local media that Guyana's international partners have expressed outrage at the situation and assured that they will be making public statements of condemnation.
In relation to these acts of aggression by Venezuela, we have reached out to bilateral partners, regional partners. We have continuously engaged the international community. Yesterday, I personally would have reached out and shared this information, share our concern. The international community has, and regional community, has reiterated their strong support for us and their condemnation for what Venezuela is doing, these acts of aggression. We'll continue to work closely with the international community, our regional partners, and maintain strong monitor of the situation.
Guyana's Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation also made a statement in the National Assembly on Thursday in which he committed to working across the political divide as Guyana presents a united response to Venezuela.
The international community will be kept informed of all actions undertaken by Venezuela to undermine the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Guyana and to threaten the peace and security of the region and the state. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member,
Just
Mr. Ramjitan.
in view of the fact that that is about 12 hours old and new developments are occurring, would the Honorable Minister be coming to Parliament with a motion for the opposition also to give support in relation to this extremely important national issue?
Mr. Speaker, the government will pursue all avenues that would be consistent with good governance practice. And as such, as necessary, we will be coming back to Parliament.
This latest hostility follows closely on the heels of a decree recently issued by President Nicolás Maduro, which purports to establish maritime territory for Venezuela, which encompasses Guyana's territorial waters, the exclusive economic zone, and continental shelf, as well as its land territory west of the Essequibo River. It also comes weeks after the illegal interception and detention of 2 Guyanese fishing vessels and their crew in Guyana's waters and the resolutions of the Special Commission for the Defense of the Guyana Essequibo and Territorial Sovereignty, which recommended the convening of a session of this Special Commission to the Essequibo with the assistance of the Venezuelan armed forces.
Thank you, Kurt. With corruption still prevalent in the Guyana Police Force, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces and President of Guyana, Dr. Irfan Ali, on Thursday committed to rebranding, retooling and restructuring the force to better serve and protect the citizens of Guyana. The President was speaking at the Police Officers' Annual Conference at the National Cultural Center in Georgetown. Isnel Patwa reports.
The theme for this year's Police Officers' Annual Conference is Enhancing Professionalism, Police Community Relations, and Confidence through Continuous Security Sector Reform and Partnerships. The 3-day conference was officially launched on Thursday at the National Cultural Center, where the review and re-examining of the force's policy and management will be the forefront of discussions. Delivering the feature address was Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces and President of Guyana, Dr. Irfan Ali, who charged the ranks to look at what changes and achievement the force would have adopted over the years as a result of the annual conference. The president made a commitment to rebrand, retool, re-engineer, reposition, restructure, and repair the image of the force. This, he said, will ensure the success of the force and the safety and security of the people of Guyana.
I close by assuring you of my personal commitment to your upliftment, whether it's owning your own home, giving you better conditions of work, better remuneration package, better support to your families. I give you my commitment and that of the government that we are in partnership with you to achieve one goal: better service to the people of our country.
Commissioner of Police Acting Nigel Hoppy during remarks noted that the year 2020 was not without challenges. However, despite this, the force's overall performance is commendable.
Our team has been carved so that we can examine ourselves within those areas over the next few days to see where we are and where we ought to be.
The commissioner said the force will continue its strategic, proactive approach towards dealing with crime. The police force in 2020 recorded a 5.9% decrease in serious crimes, while road fatalities saw a 14% decrease. A total of 136 illegal firearms were seized last year, and so far for 2021, 12 firearms were seized. In terms of dismantling the illicit drug trade, 490 kilograms of cocaine were seized last year. This resulted in 29 cases being brought before the court and a total of 40 persons being charged. 809 kilograms, 479.2 grams of cannabis were also seized and destroyed, of which 313 cases were brought before the court and 423 persons were charged. Additionally, last year, the Office of Professional Responsibility received 193 complaints against members of the force when compared to 303 in 2019. Currently, there are 47 ranks before the court on criminal charges. President Ali further called for teamwork and the force to act as an organization and not a lone ranger. Reporting for the newsroom, I am Isanella Patwa.
We tell you now that a 65-year-old man was on Thursday sentenced to 60 years imprisonment for the murder of his brother-in-law, which occurred in 2016. Les Charles Critchlow was on trial before Justice Navindra Singh at the Demerara High Court. In February, a 12-member jury found Critchlow guilty of the charge, which read that on May 12, 2016 at Haslington on the east coast of Demerara, he murdered Terence Adams, called Uncle Terry or Sleepy. During the sentencing hearing on Thursday, Justice Singh said that it was an unfortunate case for which Critchlow showed no genuine remorse. He also noted that Critchlow is still in denial. Critchlow apologized for his actions but maintained that he was innocent. Justice Singh ordered prison authorities to deduct the time Critchlow spent on remand from the 60-year prison sentence. According to reports, Adams, aged 56, of North Haslington, is the brother of Critchlow's wife. On the day in question, the men were involved in a heated argument during which it is alleged that Critchlow armed himself with a knife and stabbed Adams to the left and right side chest and neck. Adams was rushed to the Georgetown Public Hospital, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. When the newsroom returns, a doctor and 2 nurses of the New Amsterdam Hospital have been suspended after they were found negligent in the death of a young mother and her newborn. This is the newsroom. Guyana's COVID-19 death toll reached 200 today, almost a year after recording its first case in March 2020. The latest fatality is a 62-year-old female from Region 4, Demerara Mahaica, who died while receiving care at a medical facility, the Ministry of Health noted in a statement. This is the 3rd person to die this month, while a total of 19 persons died in February. Meanwhile, Guyana on Thursday recorded 51 new COVID-19 cases from 1,453 tests. This takes the total number of known cases to 8,699. Region 4 accounted for the majority of the new cases with 38. Region 3 recorded 7 new cases, while Regions 5 and 10 each recorded 2 new cases, and Regions 6 and 7 recorded 1 new case each. So far, 8,074 persons have recovered. There are 383 patients in home isolation, 36 persons in institutional isolation, and 7 patients are in the COVID-19 intensive care unit at the Infectious Diseases Hospital. Now, a doctor and 2 nurses who were found negligent in the tragic deaths of 31-year-old Vanessa Louise Sahadio and her newborn baby girl at the New Amsterdam Public Hospital in Region 6, Quarantine Babis, have been suspended. Autopsy results show that the mother died following complications from a cesarean section, while 2 autopsies conducted on the newborn revealed the cause of death as hemorrhagic disease and stillbirth. Daniel Swain joins us now.
Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony on Thursday said the investigation into the deaths of Vanessa Lewis Sahadio and her newborn baby girl have been completed, and based on the findings, immediate steps were taken to suspend the doctor and nurses involved. A maternal review committee headed by renowned obstetrician and gynecologist Dr. Neville Gobin conducted the investigation.
We have a standing committee called the Maternal Review Committee, and they had the opportunity of going there on Sunday, and they were able to interview everyone who were connected with the challenges that we had there. And they have since issued a report, and based on that report, we strongly believe that the doctor who was in charge of the patient seemed to be negligent, and we also believe that the nurses who was involved were also negligent. Based on these findings that was issued by this committee, I am taking immediate steps to suspend that doctor who was involved in this case and 2 of the nurses who were involved.
The minister further stated that there will be several follow-ups to the investigation and further actions will be announced at a later date. Vanessa, from Williamsburg on the Quarantine Coast, was admitted to the maternity ward of the New Amsterdam Hospital on February 22nd. 4 days later, she gave birth and subsequently underwent an emergency C-section. She was then rushed to the Georgetown Public Hospital following complications at the New Amsterdam Hospital and subsequently died on February 26th. The young mother, who had 3 other children, first visited the Port Morant Hospital after experiencing abdominal pains, but was transferred to the New Amsterdam Hospital since her blood pressure and blood count were low. Meanwhile, a post-mortem examination conducted by government pathologist Dr. Nihal Singh on Wednesday revealed that Vanessa died as a result of hypovolemic shock, which is an emergency condition that is caused by severe blood or other fluid loss, resulting in her organs shutting down. The post-mortem further stated that she also died as a result of abdominal and pelvic hemorrhage, acute lung distress, brain edema, and cerebellum herniation. One of her uncles, Joe Lewis, told the newsroom that her bladder was severed during the C-section. The uncle claimed that the doctors knew what had happened and tried stitching up the wound and further removed the young mother's womb. The uncle further revealed that the 2 autopsies were conducted on the newborn. The first postmortem, which was done at the New Amsterdam Hospital, revealed that the child died from newborn hemorrhagic syndrome. This occurs in a baby during the first few days of life. According to Boston's Children's Hospital, babies are normally born with low levels of vitamin K, an essential factor in blood clotting. A deficiency in vitamin K is the main cause of hemorrhagic disease in newborn babies. The newsroom understands that the second autopsy, conducted at the Georgetown Public Hospital, shows that the child was stillborn. Common causes of stillbirth include infections, birth defects, and pregnancy complications. Back to you, Avinash.
Thank you, Daniel. 2 shippers are among several persons questioned by the Customs Anti-Narcotics Unit, CANU, in relation to the 307 pounds of cocaine found in 2 containers shipped from Guyana in Jamaica on Monday last. The Minister of Home Affairs, Robeson Ben, told the newsroom on Thursday that scanner images from the Guyana Revenue Authority have also been recovered and are being evaluated. However, CANU in a statement said security checks were done by GRA prior to the departure of the shipment, and it is suspected that the containers may have been contaminated after those security checks were done. The drugs were discovered in 122 packages in 2 containers at the Kingston Freeport Terminal Limited. The estimated street value of the drugs is $6.5 million. The shipment of rice and lumber, which left Guyana on February 24, was bound for Haiti and China and stopped in Jamaica en route.
An investigation is on the way. quite a bit of information has been received from the Jamaican authorities, the counterparts of the CANU in Jamaica. The CANU is taking steps to contact the shippers and those others who have been involved with the shipments of the rice and the lumber, which are in the 2 containers. And so that work is actively underway. There is information with respect to scans. It's being evaluated now, and we'll give more information as that is vetted and reviewed, and then we'll put out some more information on that.
We tell you now that one of the 4 prisoners who escaped from the Lethem police station in Region 9 by digging a hole in the ground on February 26 was turned over to the authorities Thursday morning by his father. 20-year-old Clarence Rodney was brought to the police by his father, Clive King, police headquarters noted in a statement. At the time of his escape, he was in remand for the offense of simple larceny. He is now in custody at the Lethem police station pending charges. 3 more prisoners remain on the run. Still ahead on the newsroom, the first well in ExxonMobil's Kanji block comes up dry, and President Irfan Ali reiterates that the opposition needs to first recognize the government as legitimate before there are talks on the way forward. This is the newsroom. ExxonMobil's first well in the Kanji block, the Bulletwood 1, has failed to produce oil in commercial quantities, according to reports coming out of the company. The Bulletwood 1 well commenced spudding in January 2021. The company reported on Thursday that the spudding has instead confirmed the company's seismic interpretation of the geology and shown evidence of non-commercial hydrocarbons. ExxonMobil's exploration success in Guyana is 80%, with 18 discoveries on the Stabroek block. The company said it will continue to leverage its deep water expertise and advanced technology to explore frontier environments with the highest value resource potential. Back in 2020, a similar attempt was made by ExxonMobil at the Kaichor block. The Tanager 1 well turned out to be non-commercial as a standalone development. Meanwhile, ExxonMobil's management team in Guyana on Thursday said that repairs to a faulty gas compressor from the Liza Destiny floating production storage and offloading FPSO was complete. Production manager Mike Ryan told members of the media during a virtual update that with all repairs completed on the compressor, several mechanical tests were done, and both ExxonMobil and the engineers in Germany have accepted the test results. Kurt Campbell tells us more.
The compressor has completed all its repairs. It has been tested on the test bench within MAN in Germany, and the mechanical run test was successful. And we reviewed the data, and the MAN engineers, the SPM engineers, and ourselves, we've accepted the test results, and the machine is getting ready to make its way back to Germany, to Guyana. We have also completed repairs on the discharge silencer on the outer shell and the welding of a new orifice plate internally, and the discharge silencer is getting ready. The inlet silencer is ready to go, so good progress there. Getting ready to send the units back to Guyana. In addition to that, we've identified all of the key resources needed to help us with our installation and startup and monitoring of the machine offshore.
That was ExxonMobil's production manager Mike Ryan speaking during Thursday's virtual press conference. Once the equipment arrives in Guyana, Ryan anticipates that ExxonMobil will be able to stick to its 8 weeks promise of a resolution. That would mean that by the end of March 2021, the compressor will be installed, returning operations to normalcy and reducing the current levels of flaring being done. Meanwhile, ExxonMobil's country manager Alistair Routledge explained that it has been extremely frustrating for the entire ExxonMobil management as they worked 24/7 to resolve the issues surrounding the damage to the compressor. He said it was an unusual issue. Notwithstanding, Routledge assured that the company was cognizant of its obligations and commitments under the permits and license granted to operate in Guyana. To this end, he said the company remains fully within those limits and has not exceeded any parameter.
The short answer is no. We are not in violation of any permits as we stand. We monitor that very closely, and make sure that the way we operate is always in compliance. That's very important for us wherever we are in the world that we operate that way. Now,
Routledge also claimed that there was no relation between the fault to the compressor and ExxonMobil's improved oil production at the time. The compressor failed on the night of January 27, 2021, and ExxonMobil had subsequently announced that it had reduced production. At the time, ExxonMobil was reportedly producing 130,000 barrels of oil per day, 10,000 barrels above what has always been stated as the maximum production, 120,000 barrels of oil per day. In relation to the ongoing flaring, Routledge said ExxonMobil remains unhappy and dissatisfied with the current flaring and noted that the company is looking to return to normal limits within the shortest possible time. The company continues to produce oil at 120,000 barrels per day and said flaring is maintained as low as possible. The current daily levels are between 16 to 18 million cubic feet.
Now, President Irfaan Ali on Thursday said he is willing to meet with the leader of the opposition, Joseph Harman, but first, Harman must publicly acknowledge his government as being legitimate. The president spoke with reporters at the sidelines of an event at the National Cultural Center and clarified that Harman never wrote to him and requested to meet.
The leader of the opposition has a choice, Let me be very clear on this. He has a choice, Sometimes you have to decide what is foolhardy and what we really want to achieve. I don't know what bubble he is living in, but I'm sure the leader of the opposition is aware, like the rest of the world, that he trampled upon democracy. I am ready to speak to all Guyanese, and I've been doing that. The question is the leader of the opposition ready to speak to the legitimately elected government?
But you're willing now to offer critical support to the government for dealing with the oil sector. Are you going to think of that?
Listen, they can make all their suggestions in Parliament, their parliamentary committees and so on. Right? What Mr. Harman needs to do is the right thing. To correct the mischief that he embarked on by trying to push a narrative that he knows is so false, and recognizing there is a legitimate government and a legitimate president. Look at all his MPs, what they're saying. I can go now and pull up all their postings on Facebook. I can go now and do that.
Isn't there an implicit recognition, though, Mr. President, when the leader of the
I
opposition
don't know. I don't
writes,
need implicit. I need explicit.
when he writes you in your capacity as
But
president?
he did write you in your capacity
When?
as president.
About
A
what?
couple of months ago,
Yeah.
before we did that
About
interview.
When
what?
they participate in the National Assembly as the
No, you
opposition
said he wrote me. What did he
He
wrote?
wrote you.
to deal with the border matters.
Come on. You can't
You
tell me he
didn't see
wrote.
that letter? You didn't see that letter?
You can't tell me the president, the leader of the
He
opposition wrote
said
me.
he write you.
Well, he said he write me
So
doesn't
you
mean he
don't get
write
no
me.
letter.
He said he write me doesn't mean he write me.
When the newsroom returns, the financial, weather and bridge reports along with sport. Welcome back to Newsroom. Now for a look at what's happening in sport. We're starting off with some cricket news. The inaugural President's Softball T20 Cup commences on Friday, and the organizing body, the Georgetown Softball Cricket League Inc., stated on Thursday that they anticipate it will be a keenly contested tournament given the rivalries. More from Akim Green.
Ian John, president of the Georgetown Softball Cricket League Inc., indicated all systems are in place for a successful tournament and the teams are extremely upbeat to take the field.
Everything is in place. Umpires, players, officials will all be assembling at the Everest Cricket Club ground for 8:15, 8:30, and we'll have a photo shot with all the teams and umpires, and we await the president's arrival sometime between 8:45, 9 a.m. to declare the tournament open. Teams have been looking forward to this tournament for the past month, and they've been doing preparatory works each and every weekend. And those teams, even those teams that coming in from outside, as I said, most of the guys that playing in those teams are based here already. So they're very active, and the teams are very keenly contested. As you can see, the opening game in the over 50 is between two rivals, Regal and Wellman. So it's it's rivalry from the word go, from day one.
The tournament has attracted 24 teams with 8 in each of the 3 categories, All-Stars, over 40 and over 50. John explained how teams will progress to the knockout stages.
Each group, each category is divided into 2 groups, A and B. In the A group, each team will play each other once, similarly in the B group for all 3 categories. And then the winner of Group A will play the runner-up of Group B in one of the semifinals, and the winner of Group B will play the runner-up in Group A in the other semifinals. The winners of those matches will now progress to the final on Sunday, where we will be playing the over 40 and over 50 simultaneously, and then the open category will be played after that, at 1 o'clock.
The president said they have met with officials to ensure teams adhere to the COVID-19 protocols.
We got a good report from the last tournament we held from the task force, and thus enabled us to get permission to run this tournament. But we had a meeting with the umpires, and I outlined all those safety precautions we need to take. You need to have your mask sanitized and the necessary things. We have officials at these various grounds, and what we did the last time, we ensured that teams, we give them masks. All the teams were given a certain allotment of masks. You know, sometimes people outside, you don't play with it, right? But if the people who are around and close by, we give them masks. When they enter the ground, we check their temperature and what have you, and to ensure we follow all the guidelines and rules stipulated by the task force.
The 3-day tournament is a collaboration between the Georgetown Softball Cricket League, Inc. and Guyana's Honorary Council, the Florida Ramzan Roshan Ali. Winning teams in each of the 3 categories will pocket $500,000 and runners-up $100,000, while prizes will be awarded to man of the series in each division and man of the match. The opening matches in the Legends, the over 50, at 9 hours will feature Regal Legends versus Mike's Legends and Enterprise Legends up against Rockaway Legends and the Denmark Cricket Club in Queenstown. The Masters over 40 will have HS Masters and Trophy Style Masters clashing, while Regal Masters face Caribbean Masters at Everest. All-Stars will have rival Speedboat All-Stars and Regal All-Stars clashing, along with Aerial All-Stars who will battle Hillfoot All-Stars at the Queen's College Cricket Ground. John asked that all teams be reminded to be present at Everest at 8 hours 30 to witness the official opening by President of Guyana, Dr. REFRAIN Ali. For the newsroom, Akim Green.
Some basketball news now. Guyana will compete at the FIBA Esports Open 3 for the first time after the 3rd edition of the tournament was announced by FIBA on February 16, 2021. FIBA Esports is part of the Guyana Basketball Federation, that's the GABF, innovation activities under the enlarged the GABF Family Strategic Priority. The global event has more than doubled its size to 38 teams from the inaugural tournament, which took place last June. Guyana will compete in the Americas Conference, which is due to take place late April. Selection to represent Guyana at the FIBA Esports Open 3 is open to all NBA 2K players, as GABF invites players from both genders to apply online. Similar to previous events, conferences will be played across 3 weekends, this time in April and early May 2021. FIBA will confirm the exact dates in due course. And finally, England's batsmen failed again in the first day of the final test against India in Ahmedabad. On a blameless pitch entirely different from the 3rd test surface that made run scoring so difficult, England were bundled out for 205 after winning the toss. Ben Stokes made 55 and recalled Dan Lawrence 46, but the tourists fluctuated between repeating old mistakes and reckless over-aggression. India were excellent with the ball. Left-arm spinner Akshar Patel once more at the 4 with 4 for 68. The home side lost Shubman Gill to the second ball of their reply, only for Rohit Sharma and Cheteshwar Pujara to guide them to 24 for 1 at the close. With India holding a 2-1 series lead, avoiding defeat will see them extend an unbeaten home record that stretches back to 2012 and also book a World Test Championship final against New Zealand. And with that, we've come to the end of the news for this evening. Of course, you can find updates on these and other stories on our website, Newsroom.gy, our Facebook page and Instagram. On behalf of the entire news team, my name is Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for watching. Be safe. See you next time.